What do you make of the Democrats playing the race card so hard against President Trump this past few weeks? Democrats have been doing this notoriously for decades, despite their legacy of racism. Do you think it's effective? Obviously, to an extent it is. 90% of the African American community consistently votes Democrats for the most part. How is this going to be refuted?
Thank you so much for having me, first and foremost. I think that as far as the race card goes, they've ran out of cards. They started off playing the race card against President Trump before he became president. He still became president. It wasn't effective then. It's not going to be effective now. I think the other thing that's taken place is that the American people are waking up. I think they're realizing that the Democrats only have so many cards that they can play, and now they're playing the same ones over and over again. As far as the black community voting Democrat, I think that the race card is actually an opportunity for us to bring up who the real racist party has been. The Democrats founded the KKK. They fought for Jim Crow. They fought to keep segregation. They fought against civil rights of black Americans. So as the Democrats continue to try to push this racist narrative against the president, it's an opportunity for us to say, hey, do your research. Go look at the Democrat Party. Go look at their roots. Go look at their history. There was no big switch. That's the other big myth that needs to be reverted, is that there was no big switch. To say that tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that were racist against blacks, all of a sudden became the champion for civil rights, and at the same time, all of the hundreds of thousands of white Americans that were fighting for civil rights, the whole reason that the Republican Party was founded was the anti-slavery party. At the same time, hundreds of thousands of those white Republicans all of a sudden became the racists. It's asinine. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. So I think the American people are going to see this. They're seeing this, and it gives us an opportunity to bring it up and talk about it even more.
Were you always on the conservative side? If not, what woke you up?
So I could never, having a rich heritage of faith on both my mom and my dad's side, really believing in the Bible and believing that God creates every person with a destiny and that destiny starts from the time we're in the womb. I could never vote for a party that supported abortion. So I've never been able to vote Democrat. And I feel that if a person's personal belief is that it's okay to murder an innocent, the most innocent among us, that can't fight for themselves, that can't do anything, if they're willing to murder an innocent baby in the womb, what else is wrong with their moral compass? So I've never been able to vote for a Democrat. I did not vote for Obama, but I strongly support, voted for, and will vote for again our President Donald J. Trump.
The reason why I would say 50% of the country is galvanized towards the left is because they control Hollywood, they control the pop culture, and they now control social media. You just came back from the White House summit on social media. Do you think President Trump is really addressing this issue enough? Couldn't he just sign an executive action and break up these monopolist companies? And what are the ramifications going into the next election if he doesn't? As you said, the president himself acknowledges social media helped him win in 2016.
Yeah, I don't think that the answer is just to go in and deregulate. I don't think bigger government and more government oversight is necessary or what's required. Hopefully, I don't think that it needs to come to that. What I do hope is that enough exposing of what is taking place, the shadow banning that's taking place of conservative voices, and of anybody really that's a threat to them. There's a lot of monetary issues as well. A good friend of mine had his Facebook pages deleted, and he had over 14 million people following him, but it was a monetary issue. So it's not only just that the belief of the big tech companies and their left-wing ideologies is at play, but it's also a greed that's at play. So the evil that's there, hopefully what's going to take place is that the FTC will put in some regulations as far as just checking their algorithms to make sure that they're operating on an even playing field for all people. But I was very surprised and excited at the fact that President Trump does understand. He does understand what's at stake. He does understand that it is taking place. He did speak about the fact that they have some tools that they could use that big tech does not want them to use. He didn't expound on what those were, but he did say that they know that they have them. So I believe that it's going to reach a tipping point because social media and the internet and the way that Google can drive traffic to one candidate over another, it's not America. It's not the American way, and something does need to be done. So I believe that the White House is doing something about it.
Insane. I don't even see conservative websites come up in the search engine. It's just CNN and SPLC, and you have to really dig and find Breitbart or Gateway Pundit or Turning Point USA. What are you doing with Turning Point USA, or what's your latest project? What are you working on?
Well, I'm a huge supporter. I love Charlie. Charlie Kirk's a good friend of mine. I love the organization. They're doing record-breaking things in the conservative movement for our country. They're really standing on the precipice, I think, of really breaking open what it really means to be a conservative as far as free market capitalization. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. I started my first company when I was 20 years old, and before that, I was a drug dealer. Before I got saved, I had a pager on. It would go off 50 to 100 times a day. I was still in business, but I was not doing it the right way. You take any business person, whether they're, wherever they're at, and ask them, do you want the government to take 80, 90% of what you create? And then because they think that they can do with that income more than you can do, and they're going to say no. And so I think when people really understand what our president stands for, limited government, less regulations for businesses, for small businesses, he's creating jobs. I think it's a very positive. It's a very positive platform that he's got and that he's running on, and I think he's definitely going to win 2020.
What do you think about the Democrat candidates? Who do you think is their best chance to win a nomination?
I don't know who they've got. I mean, right now,
It's almost laughable.
yeah, it is actually laughable. It's very laughable. I can't see Joe Biden actually pulling as many votes as he would need to beat the president. I don't think any of them can, but it's still going to take Americans as a whole waking up, getting out, sharing other content, sharing my content. DavidHarrisJr.com. I'm a publisher, so I publish news. They try to sway that as well, but it's going to take Americans banding together, uniting together, and supporting the voices that we believe represent our country. And if we can do that together and we get out and vote, then the Democrats don't have a chance.
We're always just an inch away from them taking over, though.
Pretty awesome to have the president share my videos on his Instagram, his Twitter, and his Facebook. You can find me at David J. Harris Jr. And my book. He took a copy of my book. It dispels a lot of the myths about the Democrat Party. I believe it's a tool and a weapon in the hands of anybody that picks it up and reads it. Especially being a black conservative that supports our president, it's a weapon in giving some knowledge to anybody that's on the fence about why they should support President Trump. And you can get that at my website, DavidHarrisJr.com.